A very good evening to you as you join us here on Joy Asonye Live here on KAFTAN Television. Well, as usual, we'll take you through trending political stories across Nigeria, and today we shall be going to the 2023 conduct of the supplementary polls. I know there's so much conversation and reactions about the Adamawa state polls, where the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has resumed the collation of the supplementary elections held in Adamawa state last Saturday, after the exercise was stopped when the resident electoral commissioner, Hudu Ari, allegedly, even when the process had not been concluded, declared the candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Aishatu Dahiru Binani, popularly known as Binani rather, winner of this elections. It has been announced that the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, has ordered the Commissioner of Police on election duty in Adamawa State to withdraw from the state with immediate effect, while INEC, at the other hand, suspended and barred the Electoral Commissioner from accessing the Adamawa State office. Now, how could all this embarrassment been avoided in the first place? That's what we'll be discussing on today's program, but we'll go for a short break and return to introduce my guest that will help do justice to this program. Welcome back from that. This is Joy Asonye Live, where, like I said earlier, we're discussing the conduct of the supplementary polls, but our focus today would be on the Adamawa State supplementary elections that held last Saturday. With me in the studio right here is Comrade Duke Alamboye. He's the National Coordinator, Green Assembly Initiative, and the National Secretary, Nigerian Youth Organization. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you very much, Joy, for having me once more.
Yes, via phone all the way from Yola is Honorable Aziz Jibrila. He's the State Organizing Secretary, SDP Adamawa State. Hello, Aziz.
Hello, good afternoon, ma.
Yes, hello to you too. How is Adamawa State this evening?
Adamawa is fine this evening. Just now we just finished they just finished announcing the result, and they declare His Excellency Umaru Ahmadu Fintiri as governor-elect. Just now they just announced it.
Okay, I hope this announcement did come from the right quarters this time.
Yes, the announcement just came from the right people. You know, before the election, before the supplementary election, the Adamawa State election was conducted on the 18th of March last month, and the election was declared inconclusive, and they called for a supplementary election, which we have done on Saturday. We finished election under peaceful atmosphere, but suddenly somebody, Barrister Hudu, the resident electoral commissioner, which the APC gubernatorial candidate paid him, they gave him 2 billion naira. He just come and announced a result illegal. But thank God for the INEC headquarters that they unturned that declaration. But today they sent the real returning officer and the national commissioner in charge of voters. They just came and finished the process of collecting the result. It's now that they just declared Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri as the governor-elect. And they announced final result of the governorship result in Adamawa State. APC scored 398,780, while PDP scored 430,869. This is the vote that each political party got in the election.
Okay, thank you so much for that update, but we will still come back to you. Let's just take this conversation to Comrade Duke Alamboye at the moment. I mean, how could we have avoided this hullabaloo? It was unprecedented. Some people called it, this is the lowest our democracy can go, when somebody just stands up with a piece of paper and announces a result, even when it was clearly not concluded.
Joy, I think that is the bad side of our democracy. It's disheartening. And it's a showdown on the process of democracy, and it's so disgusting at a time when the federal government has spent lots of money to effect a very proper and adequate change in the electoral process, where people have invested time and money, where people have invested the level of transparency, the advocacy, for us to at least get the electoral process, if not for once, right in our country. We still see people, most importantly, Senator Binani, who is a service senator in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, perpetrate such high level of undecent activities in our electoral system. She made this attempt during the election. If you observe, during the general election, while the Adamawa governance election was going on, the same similar thing happened where she was declared. That was the first rumor on social media.
Exactly, and then that's where my next question will go. Maybe I should just take this to Jibrila, Honorable Jibrila. Where would you say that Aishatu Binani is culpable in all of this? Would you say she instigated this fake news? I mean, it started with during the election, just as Comrade Duke had said. Where would you find her culpable?
Desperation, it's just a sign of desperation, and I don't know how. It's just a desperation. By all means, we have the evidence before election. She has been meeting with INEC. The INEC Regional Electoral Commissioner, the one that just declared her winner. She was the one that instrument is coming to Adamawa so that he will come and declare her. She has been telling people that they should declare her winner and leave the rest for her. And the handwriting is just black, and the desperation is just clearly that it's just a desperation, man.
Okay, you call it desperation, but I didn't see her release a statement during the general elections, or even when she was fake, when they had the fake declaration or illegally announced winner. Although she did accept this victory, she accepted the victory. But a lot of people would say, I mean, the resident electoral commissioner represents INEC in that state, and so it was only right that anybody who is being given this victory would take it with both hands. You were talking about how she started this during the general elections, but do you also believe that it's out of desperation?
I want to believe, yes, it's out of desperation, and these are the corrupt personalities we have in the electoral process. Like some time ago, Joy, I've told you that in as much as we are trying to see how we get democracy right, there are some politicians that are very resolved that they will ever do the wrong thing to sabotage the smooth running of election. And the Senator Binani has shown that she is one of those persons. I don't see where we're going to link it, where she, as a service senator, being aware that there is collation still going on. She's been aware that it is not the duty of the REC of Adamawa State to announce results. And for God's sake, who announces results without giving detailed process of elections? The elections were held in some local government and some units. So there were no declarations from those units. Those agents are not on the platform. So on the declaration podium where those results would have been. Somebody boldly came. What is she watching? Didn't she have agents in the hall to have told her, look, we do not need to accept this victory. It is an illegal expression we're having here. This is a connivance between the INEC REC and our team. There's nothing we can say about that. She further went in the midst of all these issues. She further went to make a declaration speech. Didn't end there. The next they went to get an expertise to cover up or to block INEC or whosoever that want to declare the right result. Joy, I want to say this is the height of indecency in democracy she has portrayed, and she is not fit to even sit in the Federal House of Representatives the Senate to do any law or to enact any law again. So it's so disheartening. And these are the issues, and these are the kind of people we will not condone in this process as far as we are concerned again.
Okay, let me come back to Honorable Jibrila. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, Dr. Umar Ado, the Social Democratic Party governorship candidate in the state, had asked for the suspension of both Fintri and Binani. And you seem very excited that Fintri has won. Does that mean that the SDP is going back on its words on asking that the PDP and APC Guba candidate be suspended?
Yes, of course, because both PDP and APC they have violated the Electoral Act. One, all of them. If we are going to rely on technology now. If I can take you back, if you can bring a forensic expert and just examine the ballot paper, that both PDP, the vote that PDP got and APC, you will discover both PDP and APC, all of them they have rigged the election. They do vote buying and also ballot stuffing. All kinds of things they have done it. That's why if you observe, PDP will say APC have rigged the election. Also APC has said PDP have rigged the election.
And the SDP is saying suspend both of them.
Yes, let them suspend both of them because both of them they are still fighting. Now they said the nanny went with the Registered Electoral Commissioner, they declare a winner, but now today the returning officer also declare Tintri winner. You know the fight will continue. Now she run to Federal High Court, which I believe she is going to tribunal again. From there, we were waiting for them. When they go to tribunal, is there we are going to bring out our evidences that we're having in our disposal, so that we'll ask INEC to just suspend both of them and declare Dr. Omar Hado as a winner.
Okay, it's good. It's good. You don't seem to have approached the tribunal at the moment, so it's not subject to comment on this. But my question to you would be: on what basis would the SDP be approaching the court? Do you believe you indeed won these elections, and whatever the APC and PDP did sort of thwarted your win or victory, or it's just to open forth what you think that the APC and PDP did during the elections? Some might think that's just politics in Nigeria.
Hello?
Did you hear my question?
Yeah, ask your question. You know, it's breaking.
Okay, I apologize for that. If you can hear me now. Now I was saying that on what basis would the SDP be approaching the tribunal, the court? Would it be because you believe you indeed won these elections with your numbers, or just the fact that you saw discrepancies or irregularities, or like you said, the provisions of the Electoral Act being breached by the APC and PDP?
Yes, of course. That's why, you know, because we are the law-abiding citizens, that's why you see we did not do anything. You know, mostly after the election, if you are not satisfied with the result, you just go to the court. Right. That's what we are waiting. That's why we condemn what the REC has done by declaring the Binani winner, and she knew that she's not the winner, and she accepted the result, and just rose to Federal High Court, calling for the Federal High Court not to allow INEC to continue the process. You know, because we knew our right and we know electoral act, that's why we couldn't bother. We're waiting for INEC to finish all the processes. After they conclude the process, before we just go to tribunal and claim back our mandate in tribunal. That's why you see we're just waiting for them to finish everything.
I'm unable to access the votes that was allocated to the SDP at the moment. Can you for just help us there? What's the discrepancy that you face? What's the number that you got against that of the APC and PDP?
That's the reason. That's the more reason we are going to tribunal. You know, we have participated in the election. The law said that they should announce all the political parties. They should allocate the vote that each political party has got during the election. You know, they only concentrate on PDP and APC. They did not announce our own. That's why we went to approach the tribunal, make a comeback and announce what we have got in the election.
Okay, let me bring this to Comrade Duke Alamboye, who is in the studio with us right now. I mean, we are seeing that the SDP would contest this election in court, or I mean, as usual, we'll see the litigations that will follow all of this, citing, according to Honorable Aziz Jibrila, that there were some provisions of the Electoral Act that the PDP and the APC breached. So what's your reaction to that?
Well, it's quite normal and permissible to go to court or to the tribunal after elections. Is normal. But one thing I want to tell my good friend is that there must be substantive evidences to show proof of irregularities in the election. It baffles me when after elections politicians begin to run to the court to also begin to check how they can manipulate the process to discredit a system. The truth is that all political parties, all politicians have in Nigeria purely participated in the irregularities of electoral process. There is no two ways about it. But when one succeeds and the other fails, the accusation is it was induced, it was manipulated, it was this, ballot backslashing.
So this is
like that. So what I'm admitting that I'm not admitting the Adamawa election was most likely like a focus. In 2019, that happened in Rivers State. What we are seeing in Adamawa is also similar to what happened in Rivers State. Now, it was keenly contested by these three parties: the PDP, the SDP, and the APC. Instantly, there was issues, and when there are issues and there is a rerun, the rerun does not even does not go down to the old political parties. There's already an initial defeat. Right. So the two runner-ups are the basic political parties that normally goes for the rerun. Because if you add the numbers of the total number of voters, intending voters for the rerun, to even the SDP votes, it won't even beat any of those the votes for the runner-up and the.
It will not make a substantial.
It will not meet up. Not even make substantial. It will not meet up. An instance that perhaps the difference between the three candidates was very close,
slim, right?
Close, and that if you add any of these votes into it, it will cause it. Then it would have still be brought into the rerun. So as it stands, the first results have been announced, wherein every other political parties that didn't meet up have been excluded. So those two political parties that were very evidently spaced enough to enter the rerun are the parties INEC have chosen to run. So that on that basis, I'm not seeing them having any fair play in court. But to state that they are contesting the result as it is, that there are discrepancies and irregularities, lots of irregularities in the state, you have to prove to very substantive measures. Courts do not just say because in one LGA there were issues, they have to cancel a whole general election that was held in the state. So for any party going to court, they shouldn't expect the court to do magic. You must evidently submit those evidence you've seen to convince the judgment or the mental thinking of the court to accept a cancellation or a whatever. In this case, we've seen even the instances citing Binani breached the electoral process and all of that. They are contestable, and it does not have an overall effect on the election for a cause for cancellation. So I think they really need to have to put up their case as strong as it can to.
Comrade Alamboye, I mean, while I would have to agree with you, we've also seen the court overturn an election and see the fourth runner up come up as first, winning that elections or being given the mandate, as a lot of politicians will say. But Jibrila, would you say that after hearing from Comrade Duke, you still share that optimism that the court will overturn this in your favor, that's the SDP's favor?
No, I cannot say. Now, before, you can say court is the last hope of a common man. But now, the court that we're having now, it must the corrupt judiciary system we're having in this country. Before you can vote for the court, but now court can at any length. Now, if you don't have money, don't even approach court, because court they are looking for who will give them the large.
But you aren't the one to say that. For somebody that plans to approach the tribunal and somebody who has not much to lose. I'm not sure of the numbers that the SDP garnered during the elections, but
the reason why we are going to tribunal, because we're having facts in our hand, so that we want to go and tell the whole world, we want to show the whole world the losses of INEC. The INEC, the promises that INEC made to Nigeria, this is not what we have seen. Before election, INEC promised Nigeria that they are going to use rivers, and this election is going to be difficult to rig. But reverse is the case. This election is the worst election ever had in Nigeria.
Could this be because your party didn't win?
Hello? This is the worst election INEC conducted, the worst election INEC conducted.
I'm asking if your statement is precipitated by the fact that your party did not win. Could that be the reason why you found these elections the worst in Nigeria?
Yes, of course, because we are having fact. we have it on tape, we have on audios. You know, in election, the INEC we have a tape that the INEC commissioner is telling the EO, that is electoral officer, to reach election in favor of APC candidates.
And we have evidences to that.
We also have it in record that the INEC, the chairman of INEC himself, giving to a candidate a contract to go and print a sensitive material, that is the ballot paper and the result sheet of the governorship election, which is also a part of election. We have it in record that the INEC official go to candidate house for a meeting, and they collected money from her. All the evidences and the fact we are having them on ground.
Wow. Okay, before I let you go, I would like to ask Honorable Aziz Jibrila. I mean, the APC and PDP are really strong parties in Adamawa State, maybe SDP as well. However, we've seen the PDP protest. We've seen people in the street to protest that illegal declaration of Binani as governor-elect. And now we're hearing that Umar Fintiri has been also by the Independent National Electoral Commission declared winner of that elections. Do you think there would be some sort of unrest? Would you see the APC loyalists also in the street as well?
INEC has done the right thing. This is the right thing that they're supposed to do by coming back and continue the process and collecting the results and declare the highest vote, the party that got the highest vote as a winner. This is the right thing that they have done. You know, if they did not do like what they did today, nobody in the future election, nobody will contest election. Maybe I may decide to contest election and invite my friend somewhere to come and declare me a winner, because you know they have already breached. If they leave that election, the illegality that the man has done, if they leave it like that, that means they have set a principle that you can contest an election and invite your friend to come and declare you a winner.
But in this case, that wasn't the case here. This wasn't just any random person. It was the resident electoral commissioner in the state. So it wasn't just anybody who came.
The resident electoral commissioner doesn't have the power to declare Binani as a winner.
However, it wasn't just somebody's friend who just came in.
If you go back to electoral act section 33, 34 and 179. It's only in electoral act 2022 as amended.
I agree with you, by the way.
It's only the
returning officer
has the power to declare the result of either governor or president.
Right.
The rest doesn't have any power to declare her as a winner.
I agree with you. I'm just saying when you use the innuendo that you just call anybody. I was just saying this wasn't anybody. This was somebody who should have known better. However, do you see an unrest in the state? Do you think the APC would take this well and accept defeat?
No, so far this is the best thing that ever happened in Adamawa State.
Despite your candidate not winning. You see, it's the best thing that happened to Adamawa State, in spite of the fact that your candidate did not win these elections.
Yes, because they have come back and finished the process. That's why I say I want to commend them for doing that. I think that they did not come back. We will say that we will lose confidence on INEC. Even we, the other political party, will lose confidence on INEC.
Okay, would you also say the same thing, Comrade Alamboye? I lose confidence in INEC if this wasn't declared this way.
In fact, I want to commend INEC from the first instance where they've suspended the culprit, the man that have perpetrated this wrongdoings. Then also the process of recollating themselves to go back to Adamawa State to continue the coalition and then announcing the possible winner. I think it's commendable, and this is the right thing INEC is supposed to do. So that, of course, now you can hear him. It has given consent and space for litigations to come in. If they've not done that, the litigation will be maybe a PDP facing the music alone. So now that they've declared the elections and they've done all the coalitions and declared someone winner, other political parties will now have the space to say, okay, well, using this right results that have been announced and the figures and the activities of the elections, we're going to court or is generally accepted. But I think in the Adamawa instance, there's no need for anybody to go to court. They should learn from what has happened, preempt those issues, and get back to the drawing board and prepare themselves for the next 4 years election, other than wasting their time, because the space of the election is clear. Even within the first election period, you saw the speed and the contest between the PDP and the APC. The time that it was so many speculations were online, that period was beaten, and then of course it gave the irregularities gave right or the riser to cancelling some of the results. If substantively the SDP is going to rely on those factors or those facts that have made INEC cancel those results and they are substantive enough, yes, correctly, INEC will say, of course, putting these events on ground, we need to cancel the election. But of course, that won't happen again, because in the first instance, that is why INEC has redone the elections in those LGAs that they have issues. So going to court now will not hold water. And let me inform him, we're having a system where when people go to court, the winners are always prevented by INEC. INEC has the duty to protect their results. So it's difficult to go and tell INEC that what they have done, to go and upturn what they have done, except that it is more too visible and too.
Well, that's the SDP seems to have their own evidences, which he feels is substantial enough to.
Yes, well, that is the case. That is the case. INEC themselves convinced themselves that yes, in LGA A, B, C, D, yes, these things are glaring. So they cancelled it and kept it undone, fixed another date, and they've done it. So when you're going to court again now, at what instance will you be going to court? Okay.
Honorable Aziz Jibrila, what would be your final thoughts as this declaration has been made of the governor, the incumbent governor being declared winner again? What's your final thoughts on these elections in Nigeria? How can we get it less embarrassing, especially with what happened in Adamawa State?
Well, first of all, I want to commend INEC for coming back and continue the process. You know, as I said it from the beginning, Adamawa were a peaceful state and were law-abiding citizens. If you observe, if it is not Adamawa, if it is another state that this thing happen, the story will be different, because we are wise. The APC did it and the REG did that declaration so that let us kill ourselves, let us fight. We refuse to fight, because even you are in PDP, APC and SDP were all brothers in the state. They want us to fight, we refuse to fight. And first of all, we will still congratulate the governor for the election that he has got from the INEC. We'll congratulate him for that. And also, we are going to congratulate INEC for coming back and conclude the process.
Okay, that has been the voice of Honorable Aziz Jibrila, State Organizing Secretary, SDP Adamawa, who has given us a good update as to what is going on in Adamawa State and the declaration of the incumbent governor as governor-elect, having clinched that ticket once more, or rather that seat once more. But we're going for a short break right now. We still have Comrade Duke here, where we'll be discussing the punitive measures that has so far been meted. I mean, the IGP has withdrawn the state commissioner of police who was on duty there, and also the INEC has also barred the resident electoral commissioner who did this illegal announcement. But is it enough to see that sanity that we want? We'll be right back. This is still Joy Asonye Live. Welcome back from that short break. We are still discussing the 2023 conduct of the supplementary conduct of the supplementary polls, especially that which was held in Adamawa State. We still have Comrade Duke Alamboye. Like I said earlier, he's the National Coordinator of Green Assembly Initiative and the National Secretary Nigerian Youth Organization. We also, I would like to just start with Usman Baba, that's the Inspector General of Police, recalling or ordering the immediate withdrawal of the Commissioner of Police who was on election duty in Adamawa State. Do you think the policeman, the Commissioner of Police, could have done anything to stop the announcement, the illegal announcement of Binani when the electoral commissioner was on?
Of course, obviously, he knows the process. He knows, in the first instance, he knows who should announce an election. In the second instance, he knows the process. The process is they will have returning officers announce various segments of the results in their units and their wards. Those will be collated. After those collation, they will sum up before a winner will be declared. So we saw the Commissioner of Police seated right there while these irregularities were going on, and an instance where even the one of the agents, the PDP agent, was apprehending seriously the wreck of the Adamawa State. We saw the Commissioner of Police order his men to pull them back.
I've also heard the part where it is said that, I mean, he can't be complicit in this because his job there was not to meddle into whatever decision. He does not know if the INEC national just let me land.
Okay.
He did not know, like it was alleged that the resident commissioner had said that at the time he felt that the returning officer whose job it was to announce the winner of that election was at that time besieged by PDP members, or rather, let me not call the political party at the moment, he was besieged by a political party. So he felt that there was compromise at the time, and the policeman is there to ensure that there was no violence of any sort and keep security and keep the place calm.
That was
it his place to meddle? Was it his place to meddle into
let us
the resident electoral commissioner who knows better went ahead to do this declaration?
Let us even agree. Let us even agree that at the time the executive officer that is supposed to announce the results was kidnapped, or whatever they call that, the Commissioner of Police was not aware that people need to arrive from their places of election and they will do collation, and that process that of which is seated there should have started with the collation process, summation process, and then announcement process. So he just sat down there and somebody held just a piece of paper to announce a re-election which is signed, that yes, in these places there are discrepancies and such that elections should hold, and that after the election have been held, somebody will just walk in and say party A had won the election. So that is not correct. That is not true. That is even if you sound that way, you're demanding the effectiveness of why the police forces are there. Not only him, the civil defense everything was there. So their duty largely, you see, let us also begin to educate ourselves when these things happen. What are actually their rules? So it is not because they are not there because they are the enforcers of electoral violence. When things are going wrong, the police commissioner have the right to even stop a process that is wrong. He knows the electoral law, and that is why he is there. He is to ensure that everything that is going to happen there is in conformity with the laws. That is why he is there. He is the one that observes that the law processes are there. So if he sits down there and finds out that the process is now new and strange, he has the right to stop it. The same thing, I'm also going to fault a little bit the IG. In the presidential election, a political party stood up and was seriously opposing a fact that the law has said that you must juxtapose side by side, announce the results with the downloaded results.
But the law didn't say that.
It's a breach of, that is what the law says, that this is uploaded and they are going to show them side by side. Even the INEC or the INEC chairman. I said I intended on this.
They just promises the INEC. They are not promises the INEC chairman.
They were not just INEC. I can't quote where these things are in the act, but this is what
the electoral act gives INEC. No, I just need to correct you. That is why I need to correct you before you go ahead. The electoral act gives INEC the prerogative to pick however means they choose to transmit electoral results. Transmit the electoral results. Yes. So I'm just correcting you there. So at that point, the fact that INEC at that time decided not to transmit via the INEC results viewing portal is not against the law. But go ahead with your line of thought. I just had to correct
what the process is. Then what was the essence of what were the changes in the electoral law?
Nigerians held INEC to the promises they made.
No, it is enshrined. We need to visit this thing back. That immediately after voting, these things will be uploaded. It is on that upload that people will rely on those announcements they are doing.
Okay.
But don't forget that the results were handwritten, and for the purpose of not allowing it to be manipulated, it will be snapped and uploaded, so that even in your houses, before they are even finishing their collation, if you are fast enough, you would have known the winner of the election. This is what gave confidence to Nigerians. This is what gave confidence to the youth of this country, that we all went out and voted during the past election. So there was a clear breach in that aspect. So my point is that the Commissioner of Police wouldn't have sat down there and allowed that to happen. So I want to commend the IG for the steps he has taken. It's a total breach. So therefore, he wouldn't have allowed that to happen.
Okay. Now let's take this conversation to the Electoral Commissioner himself, who was barred by INEC. Some have asked for his arrest and prosecution. Do you think suspending him and subsequently barring him from accessing the Adamawa State office is punitive measure enough?
Yeah, of course. The first instance is declare him wanted, of course, because if he has announced a result he ought not to have announced, he has legally faulted. So the first instance is to hold him. Government is, he would have been a government property ab initio to investigate. As it stands now, he is nowhere to be found. So they've dismissed.
He's nowhere to be found.
Yes, I don't think he's INEC cover. I don't think they've seen him.
I don't think is INEC looking for him. I mean, this is new to me. I didn't know.
No. He's nowhere to be found. He was
because INEC had
he was invited. Yes. He didn't appear. Joy. It never appeared.
Right.
Yes, he never appeared.
This is quite new to me.
Yes, so he was suspended, not appearing or suspended. So this set of persons were enacted to go and finish that job. So the first instance was his arrest. That would have been the appropriate thing, but they only made the invitation for them to come to Abuja. I'm sure if out of fear or knowing that he has done something wrong, if he had come to Abuja, and I could have had the opportunity to, clap his wings and then put him where he's supposed to be while they do the investigation. But he was smart and wise enough not to have appeared.
That was being smart.
Of course, that's why he didn't appear. That was smart enough for him. So he absconded, and then they have to quickly announce his suspension. And then, of course, if he is suspended, I don't think it's also very rhetorical to say that he would appear in Adamawa office again. That is not true. That man that we saw that did that in there has gone and has gone to oblivion until there's calmness or whatever. So I think INEC was also prompt in doing that, suspending him, so that it will give way to the clear process which we've seen. They've gone back to do the collection. So I think both INEC and the Commissioner of Police, they are prompt in their actions and their response to that effect. And let's see, it's not only, I don't want them to end at only suspending him, it should be brought to book so that it will stand as a precedent to other people that are planning all of this. It's quite unfortunate that he is the scapegoat of the 2023 election. We know so many states where this compromise have done, but he thought that, like it was stated, I don't have the evidence, but they said go and announce the result and leave the rest for me. So he also didn't know that Nemesis will catch up with him. It's not just only announcing a result, but it has to do a lot to do with manipulating the old sensibility of everybody that was sitting down there to really announce such results vaguely like that. Come sit down, no collation, and say you're announcing Binani as the winner. It was too open. It was too a blow to the face of democracy, and these people should be dealt with. Investigation on this matter should go down to the brain to getting the fact of it. That it was given 2 billion naira. We don't have it's alleged, and of course, I also want to believe that as a Nigerian, he would have gone to do that kind of heavy and life-taking job if it wasn't really reimbursed. So these are the things INEC should still further investigate and make sure that it is brought to book on those lines, and let Nigeria know it should be prosecuted properly to that effect.
Yes, you said being prosecuted, but let's leave Adamawa State for a split second and go and look holistically at the conduct of elections in Nigeria. We've seen speculations of or allegations of monies like this playing a major role. What do you think INEC can do to ensure that their staff have some level of dignity enough, or would you say that institutions should be strengthened enough so their punitive measures more stringent?
You've said it all. You've said it all.
That which we saw.
It is an institutional thing. And let me tell you something. This system wasn't the problem. It is the human efficiency that was the problem. The system is clear enough. A system that tells you that allow people to be accredited through the beavers, it means that they've done away with ambiguous numbers. You can see a whole state, the vote of a whole state, not only running up to 1 million. 700,
unlike what we used
700 to for 300 plus for Binani, 400 plus for Fintiri, and for instance 100 plus, you put all together not up to 1 million vote. So what's the good thing about today's democracy is that it has eliminated those ambiguous numbers. They used to say a state has given 1 something million vote, 2 something million. That has been completely eliminated. That is number one. So in that regards, you can't manipulate it because you would have been accredited. Now a smart one. Politicians have also taken note that if 10 are accredited on this platform, the voting is still on what? Manual. So they can do away with the voter sheet and write that these 10 accredited actually went to only party A. That is where human manipulation still exists. However, that can also be beaten because we have so many party agents there. So the problem majorly is the ability to snap results instantly and upload.
Exactly.
That is the problem of this, and this is where INEC failed in this election. This is where they were not able to justify 300 billion that was given to them for this election. This is the core process. This is why confidence were restored. This is why the INEC chairman kept sitting down in so many conferences, so many fora, to say, no, this is the crush of this election, and we must ensure, of course, Joy, if those elections in how many thousand units in the country were uploaded instantly, we will not be seeing what we are seeing. And how magical was it that senatorial elections results were uploaded? How magical was it that House of Representative results were uploaded, and then the presidential election cannot be uploaded?
You can, according to INEC, there were hitches. According to INEC, you never can say where the hitches were come from.
If we go back to, unfortunately,
the presidential elections. It could have been the National Assembly elections, but there were hitches. According to INEC,
it is the presidential election. Unfortunately, again, Joy, if we are so good to dwell on being unfortunate, is that the prosecution process does not indict INEC. INEC comes there to defend an irregularity or
the elections are conducted.
They conducted.
Right.
So you will see INEC always parleying in court with the people they have declared as winner. Even if you bring any level of evidence that is
but that's only natural. It's only natural.
So one other process that is seemingly very wrong is INEC should stand on their own to answer to so many questions that will arise from the process, not defending. In every case they are going now, INEC is the original and authentic defendant to the party that other political parties are accusing.
Okay, let me get something for our viewers who might be just as confused as I am. I mean, INEC needs to defend the results, the declaration of a certain candidate, right?
Yes.
And then the candidate who has been declared winner wants to ensure that during the court proceedings, should then need any evidence, fact that will be necessary to lay claim to, rather substantially hold claim to what they already have. Nothing is done in the court, and so the INEC would naturally be there, and it only makes sense that if I declared you winner of an election, I want to get something. If you can just allow me land with what I think you're trying to say.
Yes.
So what you're saying is INEC should be independent without the plaintiff or a co-plaintiff being the defendant or being the candidate. Is that what you're saying? The political party should be out of it. It should be just INEC defending this.
Now, the evidence the court would have had in judging an electoral process for 2023 would have been downloaded results in juxtaposition to INEC manual results.
Okay.
That is what the court would have been able to rely on. In that instance, the court would also have judicial judgments on what INEC is saying at the time. For instance, if INEC says, no, in polling 8, we recorded that party A won, and on the noted result, which of course INEC would have been the people that have also uploaded it, the court would now rely more on the uploaded result. But in this case, there are not uploaded results. So is INEC, anything INEC presents,
right,
is what the court is going to rely on. INEC is going to present result in favor of the party that is accused of irregularities. So before the matter starts, the party you are accusing had won the case 40%. That is my worry, because they already have national evidence from the MPs. So how would you now begin to INEC? The same way in court, INEC denied papers that these are not their papers.
Exactly.
So
would they accept papers that aren't theirs?
So this is a blow. That's how we would have relied on. If I don't know if the uploaded ones are on the sky or whatever.
The cloud, actually.
On the cloud, actually. So this is why we are saying that it was a whip. Every election that has been held, the blame is actually on INEC, because
Comrade, you just took this conversation to yet another direction. But my question actually to you was the personnel, the actions of the INEC personnel so far. Yes. If you can just let me land with my question. Do you think INEC can do better? Because it's morally behoves on every individual in whatever capacity you're working in to do your best. So if INEC, having seen your credentials, decides to employ you and give you a task, how else do you think INEC? I know I've heard a lot of conversations around INEC should do better as to who they're put in place in certain positions. But if the cap fits, what else can do?
I've already understood it. It's a Nigerian factor, and it's not only an African factor.
African factor?
Yes, where people, the immediate thing that comes to the minds is when you're given a responsibility is what you make out of it. So INEC may not be able to, INEC as a body may not be able to read the internal minds of people or perceive that they are corrupt or whatever to give an assignment. The only qualification is your academics and maybe experience in the field. So you're given that position. So whatever you do should fall in line with the code of conduct you have for that process.
I will see people go out of that line.
So you see where an INEC EO electoral officer comes to the state, connive very conspicuously, give instructions, and then manipulate the process of elections. INEC have a duty to quickly terminate that election, and that is why in somewhat instances I want to also give it to this regime, INEC regime, that we've seen where they've cancelled the election, they've kept it inconclusive because they want to check really the process that I have done. This is what people really expected also for the general election, that they will say no to this aspect of it, to say, look, we have to do the right thing. And in doing the right thing, it falls back to the human person, the person you're talking about. Your ability to say that, no, this under my control was wrong, so let's do it right. We are not saying that the elections in Nigeria will be totally perfect, but if we have attained, we thought that we will attain at least 80 to 85% of perfection in this election. But
here we are, meaning you are not satisfied. But let's also talk about the electoral violence, or rather electoral infringements we have seen, and the punitive measures leaving INEC at the moment. I'm talking individuals, be it through their body languages, their utterances, or actions where violence is perpetrated. Do you think we're doing enough in terms of curbing it and having strict?
This is the worst election. Are we talking about verbal violence? Are we talking about physical violence? This election has it all. We've not seen any of. We've seen political spokesmen,
such as yourself.
The political spokesmen being very violent in their utterances. I've never been violent in my utterances.
However, I'm talking about. I just accepted that you are a spokesperson.
No,
you are a spokesperson.
Yes, but I've never been violent. Please let me make my point before you accuse me legally. We've seen.
I mean, whatever happened, because spokespeople such as yourself were riled up for nothing, if you ask me. It took the conversation from this is what my candidate can do to verbal abuses and call it a campaign of.
So, however, where I'm driving at is that
right.
The prosecutors, the prosecution aspect of election have really done nothing.
Haven't been the spokesperson? Were you invited by anti-craft agencies? Were you invited by security agencies?
We had so many spokesmen,
such as yourself.
So many violators did lots of rubbish during the elections, and these persons have never been invited. We saw ministers spoke irregularly about during the elections. We've not seen anybody invited them. We saw fights, we saw killings in some quarters. We've not seen anybody been invited.
Were you at any time invited?
All the elections, I've never been. I speak to facts, and that is me. I speak to facts and records before me and analyze as appropriate as it should be. Should I unravel or bring out a video evidence of you saying something that can be perceived as if an utterance that's violent? If you have, I with all pleasure, I need to see it, but I don't think I've done that. I've been on so many platforms, but I don't think I do that. That is uncalled for. My political future is still far much ahead, and I can't engage myself in that. I'm not a violent person. I'm a very quiet Nigerian youth leader.
I would disagree with you, Comrade. I disagree with you, but I must admit that during at the build-up of the elections, I actually was actually excited that you did not join the fray with the kind of comments I heard from other spokesperson. However, we are where we are. It's just unfortunate that spokespeople, just as yourself, of course, those who have gone against the ethics of the elections and principles of the elections, have not been called or acted on, or there are no punitive measures basically meted on them. But Comrade, we've run out of time. I just wanted to rally you up a little bit there. I saw you afraid that you must have said something. You must have said something over. I saw you trying to recollect. At what point could I
never bothered myself.
I saw you fidget there, but I promise you, I will not call the authorities to some of the things you said. But Comrade Duke Alamboye, National Coordinator, Green Assembly Initiative, and the National Secretary, Nigerian Youth Organization, thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you very much for being mischievous.
I'm not sure what he's talking about, but this is where we draw the curtains on Joy Asonye Live. Thank you for being part of the program. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Have a blessed day.